from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Oh, God got a mouth. The heart of the discerning acquires knowledge, it says. For the ears of the wise seek it out. In the epistle James 1:5, it reads, if any of you lacks wisdom, and I guess that's all of us to one degree or another, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. This sounds like the God is anxious to put what is in him in us. And we believe that by coming here today, we've taken a leap forward in that direction. So please give yourselves a round of applause for being at Muhammad Mosque number 7. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to move this program forward because we came here for the main course meal, but just to get our appetite and whet our palate, we got a few appetizers. So we're going to call to the rostrum at this time one of our sisters in the ministry class, a woman who exemplifies the importance and benefit of a woman immersing herself in God's teaching and striving to live it and share it with others. Please help me bring on Sister Tainetta Muhammad with a round of applause. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that Muhammad is his messenger. I'd like to greet each and every one of you this morning with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Let's give Brother Diamond another round of applause. It is my pleasure to be before you today, and I want to give a thanks to our regional minister for allowing me this opportunity to come before you and share a few words. Brothers and sisters, I want to begin with the words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he says, if Black people came together anywhere in America, there is nothing we could not have if we wanted it. The unity of more than 30 million of us in America will guarantee our survival. In fact, the unity of 1 million of us in America would guarantee the survival for all of our people. He goes on to say to achieve survival, however, there are things that each of us must sacrifice. There is no way to sacrifice unless we come into unity. And there is no way to have unity unless we give up the things that keep us from having unity. So I'm not talking about the unity that we saw a week ago when we all came together from the boroughs of the city to celebrate a championship of one of our teams. Although it was good to witness, right? It felt good to have that spirit. What was beautiful was that everyone was able to come together. But that's just a small, minor fraction of the unity that the minister is referring to. Can we come together in unity in a financial sense? Can we come together in unity from an economic and religious sense, spiritual sense? Can we put past our ideology to come together for the common good of our people? We see this in the scripture where Jesus says, he emphasizes unity with the Father as the foundation of all unity. He said in John 14:6, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. We know this firsthand in the nation. See, in order to get to the eternal leader of the Nation of Islam, you have to go through the eternal door. That eternal door is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Many claim to know the works of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but don't bear witness to it in their actions. There is one man that has stand the test of time through decades, who has surrendered his will to Allah so that he can uplift his teacher to unify all of us. despite all of us. He has weathered storms that many of us would not dare to touch. So in a powerful way, Jesus was opening up the blueprint, setting the blueprint of what unity looks like. He says, my Father and I are one. Jesus also goes on to say that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me, I am in you. May they all be in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me. See, humanity has always struggled with the tension between differences and unity. See, we recognize diversity in language, in culture, and belief, and even in experiences. Yet we continually search for something strong enough to bind us together without erasing what makes each of us distinct. See, me standing next to you doesn't take you out of the equation. Me coming together with our Latino sisters don't take away our Black experience. So as we see our cultures divided more, the Asians versus the Blacks versus the Hispanics, at the end of the day, we have one common enemy. And that enemy's aim and purpose is to make sure that you don't see that the brother sitting next to you is your brother, and that the sister sitting next to you is your sister. All praise is due to Allah. Scripture offers a powerful metaphor for this challenge. Truth as thread and humanity as many pieces of fabric, each cut from different cloth, joined into a single purposeful design. That's who we are. The phrase cut from a different cloth is often used to describe someone who does not fit the mold. We have never fit the mold. One who thinks or moves differently from expected norms. That's the Black experience. While this saying is usually spoken casually, itself cut from a different cloth is divine intention. The Quran teaches that all people, are created from a single soul. The Bible affirms that from one source, many nations were made. Differences, then, is not a flaw in creation, but a feature of it. Diversity reflects the brethren of divine wisdom, not the deviation from it. See, each piece of fabric, no matter how beautiful it is, how valuable it is, it remains incomplete when it lies apart. Alone, they can be worn, covered, and decorated, only limitless. It is only when we're joined together that we can become a beautiful garment, a tapestry, a covering capable of fulfilling purposes. That basically says no matter what you think, what you believe, how you feel, how you were brought up, at the end of the day, by yourself, you can only accomplish limited achievements. But when you come together as one, and that's what we teach in the Nation of Islam, one God, one purpose. Many of you today, all praises due to Allah, are not Muslims by faith. You're not practicing Muslims. So when we talk to you, we're not talking to you to isolate you from something that is bigger than you. We're trying to introduce you to something that is in you. So in order to do that, I need you to see yourself bigger than where you stand. See, we're bigger than blocks. We're bigger than neighborhoods. We're bigger than boroughs. When the messenger told us that we were God, children of the Most High gods, he meant that no matter where you come from, where you stand, what you believe in or not, you are one nation. And until we can come together as a unified nation, this enemy will always have his foot on our backs. So let's take that foot off our back. Let's join hands like we did in the Bronx yesterday, feeding 500 families. Let's do that. All praises due to Allah. Let's do like we did in Baltimore and Boston and LA when the brothers put their boots to the ground and they said, we're bringing a Savior's tour. Why? Because they understand the significance that my brother is my best friend, that I am my brother's keeper, I am my sister's keeper. We're not divided by our language. We're unified by our spirits. We are God's children of the Most High God. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad introduced us to that God. So Master Fard Muhammad didn't come here to save people in the Bronx. He didn't just come here to save people in Queens. He said, I want all my 17 million plus the 2 million Native Americans. So until we can stand in that number, that's when we'll become unified. And that's when we no longer have to worry about the ills that this demon has placed upon our communities. We'll be able to solve our own problems, police our own communities. We'll be able to be fathers and better mothers to our children and our sisters' children and our brothers' children. Brothers and sisters, I leave you as I came before you with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. All praises be to Allah.
Let's give our sister another strong round of applause. And judging by your response is exactly what we needed to hear. As I was listening to my sister, I thought of an old African proverb, although we're bigger than Africa, is that right? But the African proverb goes something like this: if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And when the Europeans came into our mother country and was colonizing them, you know, a colonization is not just taking over your land, but it's taking over your mind, taking over your values, taking over your culture. And they were lining the young boys up to have a foot race. And, you know, a foot race is a foot race. I'm trying to beat you, you trying to beat me. So it's on your mark and set, go. I'm trying to win. But when they had the foot race and the colonizer said, on your mark and set, go, they all held hands and ran there together. And the colonizer is saying, you're supposed to run as fast as you can so you can win. And they would say, well, what's the point if I win if my brothers don't win with me? All praise is due to Allah. So we thank you, Sister Tynetta, for your spirit, for your words. Right on time, all praise is due to Allah. Well, brothers and sisters, we're getting closer to that time that we are anticipating. I know I'm anticipating it. And our student minister, Arthur Muhammad, will be with us in just a few moments. But I do want to speak a few words about my big brother in this ministry class. He is one whom many of you know in the community for decades. And if you've known him for decades, you've seen his growth, you've seen his maturity, and you've seen his leveling out of the raw, fiery spirit that a young brother had into the mature man that he is becoming more and more every day. And I believe that a part of that maturation process is a part of that is the fact that he is married to a wonderful MGT, Sister Nichelle. All praise is due to Allah. And he also has 4 daughters. See, it's something about the black woman that does something to the black man's spirit. It brings the kindness out of you. It brings the love, the gentle side of you. Not that you go soft, but the side that is tender and nurturing. Those daughters bring that out of you. And sometimes we could be a little bit imbalanced, brothers, when we walking around chest out and we always want to posture and be rough with one another and show. And a lot of times it's coming from insecurity. I don't want you to think I'm a punk, so I got to show you before you show me. Is that right? And sometimes we go a little bit far in that. A lot of the conflicts that we have with one another as men, we don't really want to have those conflicts, but we feel like we have to in order to save face. I work in high school, and most of the fights that go down, neither one of those people want to fight. It's just that everybody's watching them and they don't want to look like a punk. So we have to understand that the colonizer's mind has put something in us that says, in order to show my manhood, I got to destroy my brother. Think over that. I got to show how tough I am toward my brother. I got to show up my brother. I got to be stronger than my brother instead of raising us together into God. All praise is due to Allah. You know, they say that Allah doesn't put on a burden or a soul. He doesn't burden a soul with that which is beyond they can bear. And I want us to think about all of the times in our lives, brothers and sisters, that we have burdened ourselves. And then when we catch the weight of the burden, we looking at God like, why did you put this on me? But what you did was you put it on yourself. I remember one time I was in the gym. And I don't know about how the sisters do in the gym. Not for nothing, but like you could put on clothes when you go to the gym. I'm just saying, okay? But I don't know how the sisters do in the gym. But I know that the brothers, we size each other up sometimes. Let me see what this dude benching. Let me find out. But I'm going to cut my words short because I see that the main event is about to transpire. And our brother student minister Arthur is here. He's not delivering the keynote, but we want to hear from him anyway, because that's our man right there. Is that right or wrong? All praise is due to Allah. So without any further delay, let's bring on our student regional minister, Arthur Muhammad, with a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Just need to pause for a second and be very specific just to say that he came to us in the divine person of Master Fard Muhammad. You may ask, why are these brothers getting so excited? Because if this man never came to America specifically looking for us, we would not have Islam as we know it today. For if Master Fard Muhammad did not come to North America by himself, all of the Muslims that find refuge in America, and I'm talking about the immigrant Muslims from the East that some people consider real Muslims, they would not have a place of safety to practice their Islam if it was not for Master Fard Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. So in this house, we will never tiptoe through the tulips when it comes to uplifting his name. In Yankee Stadium is called the house that Ruth built in honor of Babe Ruth, but Muhammad Mosque is the house that Truth built. And so we thank Allah for coming to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And in the name of the one who he especially chose for us. At that time, I guess the question was asked, what is the population of the original people in North America and all over the planet Earth? And at that time, it was 17 million plus the 2 million Indians. Well, Master Fard Muhammad could have chosen from 17 million plus 2 million to be his messenger. And so out of that 19 million, he chose one. He wasn't the tallest. He wasn't the most dieselist. Y'all know that ain't a word, but I just used that, right? He wasn't the most streetwise person. He wasn't the person who was the most educated, who could articulate and elucidate with the best of the academics. However, he had the best heart. The best heart. So he's the wisest choice And we speak of none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah. And in the name of the man of the hour, the premier leader, premier spokesperson for the hurt, the pain, for the legitimate aim and aspirations of our people. A man who has been on the front line for 7 decades, unwavering. There's never been a man that has been more attacked. There's never been a person where there has been a campaign to smear his name and to scare his followers like this man who we strive to represent, a humble man full of love in his heart. And I speak of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Allahu Akbar. Will you ask, why do you call him honorable? See, I don't call my reverend honorable. I don't call my imam honorable. I don't call my minister honorable because he is the personification of honorable. If you can call these senators and these crooked judges honorable because they was elected, you can call a man that gives his life for the salvation and liberation of our people honorable. Allahu Akbar. Of his enemies, and I'm about to bring our guest speaker on, but I'm fired up with the Spirit today. Of his enemies, they called him a lot of things, but they never called him a liar. They never called him dishonest. They never called him a cheat. It doesn't even cross their mind. So he deserves that title because he represents the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Allahu Akbar. Allow me to greet you, New York City, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. I'm not even going to ask you how you feel because I already feel how you feel. Let's give the ministry staff a round of applause for their job that they did today. I have the honor of presenting our keynote speaker. You know, it is said that one learned Muslim is harder on the devil than 1,000 ignorant worshipers. He represents one of the one learned believers. Because this man is hard on the enemies of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's hard on the enemies of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's not a Google gangster. Google don't go deep enough for him. Google scratches the surface. This brother dedicates himself to at least 8 hours of study a day on a particular subject that he is trying to understand better and package so that we can have a greater understanding of the teachings, because some people doubt the efficacy and the invincibility of these teachings because you might be a little lazy in your study. Our brother believes, and he knows the teaching is so well, and he goes through great lengths to prove it, and the Nation of Islam has been advanced because of his scholarship. Let me bring to the rostrum our dear brother, student minister, Dr. Wesley Muhammad.
In the most holy name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all holy praises are forever due, we bear witness that there is no God but Allah. we bear witness that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his living and exalted Christ. And whenever I say that, I always have to make sure that there is no confusion on what's being said, so there is no confusion of what we in the Nation of Islam believe. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is alive today, not because he died and came back to life. That does not happen physically. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is alive today because in 1975, they missed. They missed. And Allah exalted him to himself. And today, he is in power. I bear witness that the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan is the divine reminder, the Messiah, the Jesus of the Scripture that black folk have been reading about and yearning for 400 years. We live now in the fulfillment of the time of his not coming, but his presence. In their names, I greet you, New York. Assalamu alaikum. My wife and I are happy to be here in New York. We're treated so well. We're having a great, great time here in the city of the Knicks. Congratulations on getting that monkey off your back. Y'all got a true, your shepherd is a true believer in the Knicks. We won't be long today. Have very concentrated message. We will ask you to think today. I thank you, Brother Minister Arthur, for your introduction. If I can offer a slight correction. Yes, sir. It's 10 to 17 hours every single day of my life. Yes, sir. 10 to 17 hours every single day of my life. Of course, my family feels it and makes that sacrifice for it, but my daughter certainly will feel that 8 hours a day would be a privilege for them. Praise belongs to Allah, but we are fighting for Islam. Some people fight so it can be said that they were in the fight. Not me, not us. We fight to win. We fight to win. And so we're fighting for Islam, man. Islam is the sure truth. Now, all Islams are not created equal. Let me say that out the gate. All Islams are not created equal. There's Sunni Islam, there's Shia Islam, there's Sufi Islam, there's many persuasions of Islam, and all Islam has some truth at their core. This is true. But the Islam that is the sure truth is the Islam of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Islam of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has never been and is not now religious doctrine. The Islam of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is a verifiable body of knowledge. Verifiable because it can be proven in no limit of time. Now, I know some of you, I'm sure, are thinking right now, how can we, the Nation of Islam, represent Islam as the sure truth when others don't even recognize us as real Muslims? You should know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and thus we in the Nation of Islam, was and is completely unfazed by the rejection of the Muslim world, completely unmoved, unbothered. He ceded no authority to them to define Islam for him and his followers. He said, the Muslims worship one God, Allah. Say He, Allah, is one God. Yet 99% of old world Muslims think that Allah is only a spirit and is not a man. Then they too need to be taught today the reality of Allah. Certainly He is one God, but not a spirit. For a spirit cannot be said to be one God. The ignorant belief of the Orthodox Muslims that Allah, God, is some formless something and yet He has an interest in our affairs can be condemned in no limit of time. I would not give 2 cents for that kind of God in which they believe. That is true Islam. That is a verifiable body of knowledge. Much of the Muslim world today and its Islam has been drafted into the service of God's enemy. Think about that. That's a big and inflammatory statement, Brother Dr. Wesley. Can you prove that? Well, if I could not prove it, I would not say it. Call it Wahhabism, call it Salafism, call it whatever you like. The most influential Islam in America and the West today is the Islam of Saudi Arabia. It has been estimated that 80% of the masjids in the U.S. received funding from Saudi Arabia. And do you know why Saudi's Islam is so dominant in the U.S.? In a Washington Post interview in 2018, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, revealed the truth of the matter, that the $100 billion that Saudi Arabia has spent over 4 decades in building mosques and masjids and madrasas throughout the West was not because Saudi Arabia was interested in spreading the message of Islam. No, it was because the U.S. and her allies prodded the regime to do so that the U.S. can use that Islam against the spread of Soviet communism. And while Saudi Arabia was spreading its brand of Islam, specifically, the CIA and other Western intelligence services were shaping and molding this Islam to be a useful tool, a handmaiden in NATO's geopolitical wars and operations. These are the men most responsible for guiding Islam into its current state. Zbigniew Brzezinski, William Casey, Graham Fuller. Graham Fuller is a national intelligence officer for Near East and South Asia, and the CIA's, get this, Islam strategist. The CIA has a post, a position, a job called Islam strategist. And Graham Fuller boasted that the CIA guided the evolution of Islam for U.S. strategic purposes. It was him who, along with Zbigniew Brzezinski, who devised the plot to co-opt Islamic fundamentalism to advance U.S. foreign policy. Both so-called moderate and extremist Islam today, in many ways, are the deliberate productions of the CIA and allied Western intelligence services. So, I'm sorry, we cannot follow you. This is why we don't sweat their condemnation of us. Far be it from them to open their mouth in judgment of us. We exemplify unbothered. Now, the light of Islam has all but gone out in Mecca and in most of the Muslim world today. We are now in the time of new Islam. Allah has now made the sun of Islam to rise in the west, and it is shining its light on the east. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad is that son of Islam rising in the west. What is this language? New Islam. Dear family, from an historical perspective, three Islams, if you will, must be distinguished. Ancient Islam, which is the religion of the ancient black population of Arabia that pre-existed Prophet Muhammad by thousands of years. Old Islam, which is the religion inaugurated by the revelation of the Holy Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, and which has been established in the Muslim world for the last 1,400 years, but has been infiltrated and corrupted by foreign doctrine and culture, particularly Greek philosophy and Persian Sasanian theology. Third, the new Islam, which is the divine teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, brought to the West by the Mahdi, Master Fard Muhammad. Now, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the light of Islam went out in that ancient house, Black Arabia. It went out at the time of Prophet Abraham, approximately 2000 BC, 4,000 years ago. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, upon his coming and his reception of the Holy Quran, he cleaned up that ancient house of Arabia with the light of the Holy Quran. And Prophet Muhammad made that ancient house, Arabia, ready to receive an Islam that has a light much brighter even than Prophet Muhammad's own light. This light is the light of the Mahdi and his people now rising in the West. And that light is the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. This is the sure truth. Do you know who knows truth of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who acknowledges and bear witness to the truth of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? The U.S. government. The same government that strategically evolved and weaponized the Islam of the modern world has, in classified sessions, come face to face with the truth of the Islam of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you should know this. If you don't mind, I need to get a little deeper. I'm going to ask you to think today in the short time that I'm going to take. By show of hands, how many have seen the new movie by Steven Spielberg, Disclosure Day? One person saw Disclosure Day. Well, it's a good movie to see. And it's good. So when you go see it, you'll be more informed than everyone else sharing the theater with you. Having joined us today, inshallah. See, what you have to understand is Steven Spielberg has been a government disclosure and deception agent since 1975, 1976. After the success of Jaws in 1975, the Office of Naval Intelligence approached Spielberg and they entered into an agreement that the Office of Naval Intelligence, the oldest intelligence outfit in America, and it makes sense that the Office of Naval Intelligence would lead the investigation of so-called UFOs because many of the UFO incidents happen deep in the ocean. So the Office of Naval Intelligence, which is why, of course, the government changed the language UFO to UAP. UAP means unidentified anomalous phenomena. The reason they changed it from unidentified flying objects to unidentified anomalous phenomenon because these craft operate seamlessly and without compromise in all three domains: in the vacuum of space, in Earth's atmosphere, and in the depth of the sea. So they are trans-medium. So the Office of Naval Intelligence approached Steven Spielberg a year after the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed. And they entered into agreement that the Office of Naval Intelligence and the government will make available to Spielberg certain files, certain classified files regarding the UFO phenomenon, and Spielberg will make movies which will have the objective of disclosure and deception. The government disclosure effort is truth in the service of deception. What does that mean? All this government UFO talk is what's called in intelligence jargon a limited hangout. A limited hangout is when the government discloses one secret of secondary significance in order to divert the public's attention away from a more explosive secret of primary significance. And what is that secret? That secret, the last best secret of the UFO phenomenon is the Asiatic blackness of the pilots. The gray aliens is a mask placed over the black Asiatics. And the gray alien of Spill Disclosure Day, the gray aliens of popular UFO lore, is a fabricated construct. It's a mask designed to hide the true pilots of these craft. And so there's a scene in the movie. A central character, Jane, when she is confronted with disclosure, when she's confronted with the truth of the UFOs, she says in her insistence that the people should not know. Her reasoning is this. She says, people have been raised to believe in a supreme being, and now you want to show us actual supreme beings? Yeah. She says the world can't handle both. Now, this is what you should understand. This is what she's saying. We white people have been raised to believe in a supreme being, we white people, and now you want to show us actual supreme beings, black gods. The world can't handle both. That's what we're dealing with right now. A little deeper. What most people don't know is that the actual disclosure day lurks behind the plot of Spielberg's movie. And that actual disclosure day occurred 44 years ago on the specific day of June 28, 1982. Allow me to explain. A defining moment for the Reagan White House was the December 1980 Rendlesham Forest UFO event that occurred at two American-operated NATO bases in Suffolk, England. Not only did the mother wheel itself show up and send down a baby plane that disabled nuclear weapons stored at the base, but the baby plane landed and the divine pilots exited and had an on-site conference with the base leadership. Rendlesham caused a crisis in worldview for the Reagan White House. America was confronted with the reality that her bombs, the crown jewels of superpower sovereignty, are in fact not the top of the hierarchy of power. That there is a greater power on the scene that can penetrate her nuclear command space and toy with her most deadly arsenal. Rendlesham was the moment America realized that she is confronted by a hostile, superior power against which she has no defense. And it was the moment leading to the Reagan White House's realization that Farrakhan is right. President Ronald Reagan and the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan share a forbidden knowledge. Ronald Reagan was a very religious man. He believed that the prophecies of the Bible, the books of Ezekiel and Revelation in particular, were unfolding in his own day. Specifically, President Reagan was convinced that everything was now in place for the second coming of Christ and for the war of Armageddon. And he was convinced that his America was central to the fulfillment of both prophecies. And Reagan was right. In 1981, President Reagan received a classified intelligence briefing and was informed about Rendlesham. Let me go back. He was informed about Rendlesham. Reagan understood then that the throne chariot, the wheel within the wheel, that prophet priest Ezekiel saw 2,600 years ago while at the Kibar River in ancient Babylon, President Reagan understood that it was now manifesting its power over the modern Babylon and that it is not an ally of Washington. This all led to 3 very important days in June 1982. 1, on June 27th, President Reagan hosted filmmaker Steven Spielberg at the White House. Spielberg was there to privately screen his new movie, E.T., the Extraterrestrial, which he produced along with his first movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he produced in association with the Office of Naval Intelligence. So it had truth servicing a great deception. In this case, Spielberg was screening for the president, E.T. He screened it for the president, the first lady, and for a guest list of 35 highly placed people, including Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor and some NASA astronauts, such as Neil Armstrong. After the movie ended, the president stood up, looked around as if he was tallying up how many people were in the room. And then, with a serious face and in a distinctly hushed tone, said this: "You know, there are 6 people in this room who know how true this really is." How many have seen E.T.? Reagan was certainly one of the few who knew how true the UAP reality is. And he could recognize the true-to-life illusions that he saw in the movie. The visual allusions to the Rendlesham Forest landing, the psionic, telekinetic capabilities of the UFO occupants, the mind power of the UFO occupants. And he recognized the Roswell body held in the cryogenic preservation chamber. The bodies that they recovered from Roswell in 1947, not bodies of gray aliens, but bodies of black Asiatics. Spielberg, the government disclosure and deception agent, in his 1982 movie, E.T., this was a preemptive attempt to domesticate the shock of Rendlesham, as the facts were to eventually leak out. The aim was to present Rendlesham through fiction as the most comforting interpretation imaginable. On those ships are benevolent but misunderstood extraterrestrials whom you could allow your children to hug. A theme Spielberg quasi-returns to in Disclosure Day. Spielberg's extraterrestrial served then and now as a cultural mask, concealing something far less huggable for white America. On the very next day, June 28, 1982, President Reagan received a classified briefing on UFOs from the National Security Council. Present with him at this briefing were his Chief of Staff, James Baker, Deputy Chief of Staff, Michael Deaver. According to insiders, Reagan was given 3 classified intelligence reports related to UFOs and the question of extraterrestrials. And one of those reports resonated with him most and influenced him more than the others. This report was authored by the so-called Collins Elite, an ultra-secret investigative body buried deep within the U.S. national security structure. The report outlined for the president the Collins Elite's conclusions, which remains the government's conclusions today. The Collins Elite investigation found that the pilots of the UFOs were in fact not extraterrestrial visitors. They are supernatural, non-human intelligences, but not non-human in a biological sense, non-human in a theological sense. They are, the Collins Elite concluded, entities long known to humanity as gods, angels, and demons. Collins Elite's foundational investigator, Captain Andrija Puharich, discovered that, in fact, the entities were ancient African gods. Captain Puharich discovered that UFO pilots are the same beings who were worshipped in ancient Egypt as the Ennead and the Hebrew Bible as the Elohim. But because these black gods had threatening intentions for the United States, the Collins Elite determined that the beings are demons. So today there is a raging debate. Are they aliens or are they demons? Demon is not an objective category. It's a theological judgment. In many cases, a demon is only a god viewed through the eyes of and feared by another culture. One people's God is the next people's devil. Praise belongs to Allah. In terms of the UFO phenomenon, demons is a white Christian interpretation of a divine black reality that white Christians find threatening. This is why so many white commentators, from Tucker Carlson to Vice President J.D. Vance, are openly declaring that the UFO reality is demonic. The demons of which they speak are the black angels of whom the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaks. The classified conclusions of the Collins Elite and the revelations of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad are structurally the same. Only the theological judgment is different. This is an important point. The U.S. government has known and knows today that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the truth teller on this issue of UFOs or UAP, and you should know it too. 2 days later, on June 30th, 1982, the third and climactic event occurred. the writing of the infamous Brinkerhoff Memorandum, written by John Brinkerhoff, the Deputy for National Preparedness of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Brinkerhoff was one of several members of President Reagan's so-called secret team, a parallel national security apparatus that operated in the shadows as a government within the government, beyond formal constitutional structures and oversight. The Brinkerhoff memo outlined a contingency plan co-written by the infamous Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North of the National Security Agency that outlined the legal and administrative framework through which constitutional government could be suspended during a national crisis and replaced by a system of centralized emergency rule administered through FEMA and military authorities. Most importantly for us, the plan anticipated a national uprising of black militants and advocated the roundup and transfer to assembly centers or relocation camps of at least 21 million American Negroes. End quote. At the time, there were reportedly 27.5 million black people in America. The Brinkerhoff memo was part of a classified presidential emergency action plan, which included a set of executive orders that President Reagan had at the ready when the anticipated national emergency transpires. Now, here's a $64,000 question. What is the connection between these three events that occurred across 4 days in June 1982? In other words, what is the thread linking a private presidential screening of a UFO movie, a classified presidential intelligence briefing on UFOs that identified powerful spiritual forces as a threat to America, and a classified presidential emergency directive to round up and detain in concentration camps roughly 76% of the black population of the time, starting with their black militant leadership? What logic makes sense of the intersection of these three? The answer is this. President Reagan and his secret team came to see America's black population not as citizens that deserve protection, but as a potential fifth column. A fifth column is an internal population whose loyalties are believed to lie with an external power. In this case, that external power is not Moscow or Beijing or even Tripoli, Libya. That power is the Lord of hosts himself. Black people were feared to be a fifth column aligned to a divine sovereignty with technological superiority that stands above the American state. And they were right. In 1781, while contemplating American slavery and the wicked treatment of black people, Thomas Jefferson said, quote, "Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just and that his justice cannot sleep forever." Yeah. 200 years later, President Ronald Reagan realized that God's justice had awakened, and his judgment on America on account of black people was imminent, and the executors of that justice were flying around America's skies as we speak, penetrating her most sensitive airspaces. And like King Belshazzar of Babylon, President Reagan read the handwriting on the wall announcing God's verdict on his nation. The Brinkerhoff Memorandum was not simply a contingency plan for civil unrest. It was a plan in anticipation of an eschatological crisis that involved the population believed to possess a dangerous alternative allegiance. Not an allegiance to a foreign nation, but an allegiance to the divine forces of God himself. And they were right then, and they are right now. The fate of this nation rests squarely on yours and my shoulders. Enter Farrakhan. The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan was and is the single figure whose disclosure about the will, which he has a personal relationship with, threatens to seize the UFO narrative from the government and expose the government's domestication project as a lie. Throughout Reagan's time in the White House, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan revealed before massive black audiences that the phenomenon in reality is not a neutral extraterrestrial mystery, but the material sign of God's judgment hovering over America. From the perspective of the national security state, Farrakhan was never merely a social, religious, or political thorn in the side. He was and is a disclosure threat. Farrakhan openly revealed what the White House already knew via classified briefings regarding the reality of the wills. An essential component of national security is information control. And Farrakhan and the NOI were seizing control of the UFO or UAP narrative from the government itself. The phenomenon that Reagan was publicly presenting as benevolent visiting ETs, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan was revealing to be divine judgment. Yes, sir. Reagan's cuddly aliens are in reality Muhammad's angels of destruction. The government knew that these Nation of Islam disclosures about the UFO phenomenon could inspire rejection of state authority by the specific population that the national security state already viewed as a domestic Armageddon trigger. If masses of black people are persuaded, which you should be, that divine craft would soon intervene against America and on our behalf, this would erode public cooperation with federal emergency directives should a UFO mass event actually take place. In plain terms, that means if the government ever needed to manage public reaction to a UAP event, the Nation of Islam and our mother will message articulated by the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan poses a population control problem. And this is why they're going so hard to force the extraterrestrial narrative down our throats. They've come out now and said unofficially, quasi-officially, that there's 4 alien species. After decades of saying UFOs don't exist at all, now overnight they're coming out and trying to convince you and I that, yeah, they're real and they're flown by 4 alien species that we can confirm. Reptiles, insects, little grays, and the leader of them all is tall, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white Nordics. See? Everything to avoid you knowing the last best secret of the UFO phenomenon is you. It's your people. President Reagan and Minister Farrakhan therefore shared a forbidden knowledge that behind the mysterious UFO phenomenon is a divine black presence here to bring God's judgment down on America. While President Reagan feared this divine presence privately, Farrakhan announced it publicly. Farrakhan's disclosures could not and cannot be dismissed or ridiculed as conspiracy theory because they mirrored realities known within classified government circles. Farrakhan therefore touched a classified nerve.
Go ahead.
The government has long been terrified of a black Messiah who could connect biblical prophecy, UFO disclosure, and black urban rebellion. Farrakhan has proven to be that black Messiah. Assalamu alaikum, family.